Happy New Year's Eve, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome to another video on NokiJr, where I'll be breaking down yet again my favorite aspects of the Pokemon world. As many of you have been following along in my live streams, I have been playing Pokemon Sword now since its release back on November 15th. And since then, I have come across so many Pokemon in the brand new decks. Therefore, my next few videos where I'll be outlining my favorite parts of the Pokemon world will be centered around all the various aspects of Galar and the Pokemon Sword and Shield games that I absolutely love. Today, I'll be going over my favorite Pokemon from the Galar region of each typing, starting with the Fire-type Pokemon, where I select Gigantamax Centiskorch. Though technically Raboot would be my favorite Fire-type, however, I'm really saving the starters for another list. To me at least, Gigantamax Centiskorch looks so wickedly awesome and is a powerhouse in every single battle I've used it in. Not to mention, I really do love quirky and unique typing combinations, and the Bug and Fire type is one that is ultimately underutilized, essentially only being used for a couple of Pokemon throughout all the generations. Up next, for the Water-type Pokemon, I would absolutely have to select Dreadnought. Though, in this selection, I would ultimately have to choose its regular natural form as opposed to its Gigantamax form. Now, don't get me wrong, I really do like its Gigantamax form, however, there's just something about its natural form that's more appealing to me. Up next, for the Grass-type Pokemon, I would hands down have to select one of my new favorite Pokemon from the entire Galar region, Flapple. Not only does this have a really cool dual typing of Grass and Dragon, but its overall split evolutionary line is also a really awesome gimmick, and overall its design is just really spot on. And with much the same certainty, it would be no problem at all for me to select my favorite Electric-type Pokemon from this region, which would be Boltund. Ever since I first laid my eyes on this Pokemon and used it in battle, it quickly became one of my ultimate favorite Pokemon from the Galar region. Not to mention, I've always had a bit of a soft spot when it came to the Pokemon based around dogs, as I myself absolutely love the animal. Following up for the normal type category, I would select one that's a little bit unusual, being Obstagoon. And I know it's primarily dark type, but I absolutely love the fact that it actually has a dual dark and normal typing. This is a type combination that has went absolutely underutilized throughout all of the Pokemon generations, and Obstagoon was the perfect Pokemon for them to introduce it to. Not to mention, I have always absolutely adored the fact that this Pokemon's evolutionary line is actually based off of the band Kiss, and this Pokemon specifically is based off of Gene Simmons. Next up, we have the Fighting-type Pokemon, and for this category, I would actually select a Pokemon that I would consider one of the most visually appealing of Generation 8, being Clobbopus. And I do like its evolution Grapploct, however, the design for Clobbopus is just more appealing to my eye in general, and I feel like its overall design and color scheme just really hits the mark as far as Fighting-type Pokemon are considered. For the Flying-type Pokemon in this region, of course, I could not leave Corviknight off of this list. Corviknight in the Galar region is the king of the skies and one of the most impressive bird-type Pokemon that has ever been introduced into the Pokemon franchise. Not only that, but I think it's really cool that they included a bit of an Easter egg in this Pokemon's overall design, representing the flying Pokemon from each and every previous generation. Then we move on to the Poison type, where for this region I would go with the rocker itself, Toxtricity. Now obviously, the Poison and Electric dual typing that it carries makes this Pokemon an absolute beast when it comes to battles. Though I would select this Pokemon as my favorite specifically for its overall rocker theme and the animations that they gave this Pokemon to represent that personality trait. Next, we would have the Ground typing, where here in the Galar region, the pickings are actually very slim. So ultimately, out of the ones that I had to select from, I would go with Gigantamax Sandaconda. The overall design and concept for Sandaconda, in my opinion, is really cool, and although the Gigantamax form isn't among one of my favorites of all, I really do appreciate the lore and explanation that comes with it in the Pokédex. It is actually very interesting to me the relationship that this Pokemon carries with sand and the way it is utilized inside of its body. And in much the same way for the Rock-type Pokemon, I would have to go with Gigantamax Colossal. Now, overall, the Colossal Evolutionary line is not among one of my favorites in the Galar region. However, I do think that they gave this Pokemon ultimate justice with its Gigantamax form, and I really wish that they would have carried some of these attributes through its entire evolutionary line. And for the next category, we have the Bug-type Pokemon, where I would absolutely have to select Orbeetle, which has actually quickly become one of my ultimate all-time favorite Bug-type Pokemon of absolutely any region. And quite honestly, I couldn't tell you whether I like its original natural form more, or its UFO-oriented Gigantamax form, because both of them are absolutely awesome designs for Pokemon. Then next up, we have the Psychic-type Pokemon, which in this case, I would have to go with Hatterene. Not only do I absolutely love this Pokemon's overall concept and design, being a bit of a mix between an alien, a witch, and a fairy, but also this actually has become probably in the top 5 of my all-time favorite Pokemon across all generations. And now for the Ghost-type Pokemon, I actually have a bit of a tie between Polteageist and Runerigus. On the one hand, Polteageist has such an adorable and amazing design concept, while on the other hand, Runerigus has such a rich backstory and lore attached to it. And then next up, we have the Dark type, where for this region, I would have to go with the form-changing Pokemon, Morpeko. This Pokemon definitely ranks among one of my favorite Pikachu clones, but I really do love the fact that they gave this Pokemon a dual typing that can be achieved through a form change in battle, which makes this Pokemon even more dynamic and harder to counter in battle. And now, as we near the end of this list, we have the Ice-type Pokemon, where I would go with one that I actually haven't used yet in the game, but I really look forward to doing so, being Frostmoth. And although it's a little bit hard to explain, I've always really loved the moth-based Pokemon like Venomoth and Volcarona, and now Frostmoth. Next, we move on to the Steel type, where I would go with the evolution for Galarian Meowth being Berserker. And although I wasn't the biggest fan of Galarian Meowth, and I know a lot of people were a little disappointed that Meowth got a Galarian form, considering it just got an Alolan form as well, and got a Gigantamax form in this game on top of it. However, I really think they did this Pokemon justice by giving it the evolution Berserker, and adding an entire new gimmick behind this Pokemon's theme altogether. And truthfully, I wish they would have went down this route in the Alolan region, and instead of giving us a Alolan Persian, they would have given us a different evolution for Alolan Meowth. Up next, we have one of my absolute favorite typings being the Dragon type, where in this region, we were given one of the coolest Dragon type Pokemon of all time, being the Dragon and Ghost dual type Pokemon, Dragapult. Absolutely everything from this Pokemon's overall design, to its moveset, to its power and abilities in battle are so amazing, and has actually made it quickly become one of the most popular Pokemon of this new generation. And finally, to finish off this list, we have none other than the Fairy type Pokemon, where I would actually go with Gigantamax Grimmsnarl. Ever since Impidimp was unveiled and shown to be a Fairy and Dark dual type Pokemon, I have always loved the idea of having these two typings put together. And with that, I actually feel like Impidimp, Morgrem, and Grimmsnarl represent this combination perfectly. Then Gigantamax Grimmsnarl takes it to an entire another level and makes this Pokemon completely incredible. And with that, rounds out my list for my favorite Pokemon of the Galar region of every single type. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you drop it a like, and don't forget to let me know what your picks would be in the comments down below. Also, make sure you subscribe to my channel in order to stay up to date on the content that I post every single day. And if you're interested in watching my family have an absolute blast, we will be live streaming tonight to take advantage of the special shiny Magikarp raids that are taking place in Pokemon Sword and Shield as we speak. Also, for the brand new calendar year tomorrow, my family will be sitting down and having a fun stream where we draw at random of all the games we have in our collection and playing them live. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, this has been Professor Noki signing out once again for NokiJr.